Hey guys, Morgan here. Today I'm going to show you how to make a decorative shelf. For this project I'm using high quality pine board, 1 inch by 4 inch. You can use any type of wood you'd like. You're going to need 7 2-foot sections of this board. So first take your square and mark your board at every 2 feet. Next you'll go ahead and cut your board at 2-foot intervals. I use the miter saw, but you could use a circular saw or hand saw if that's what you prefer. Next you're going to mark your 2-foot sections where you're going to cut. You're going to want to mark it at 12 inches in the center, 18 inches, and 6 inches. This will give you 3 evenly spaced lines on the board. You're also going to want to mark from those marks 3/8 inch on each side to account for the width of a 3/4 inch board. Now if your stock is thicker, you'll have to adjust this accordingly. Your mark should look something like this once you're done. Next, use your tape measure to mark at 1.75 inches, the middle of the board. You're going to use this mark to then draw a straight line across, which will become your stopping point when you're cutting your notches out later. So use a T-square or some sort of straight edge and draw your center line. After you finish marking your center line, go ahead and take your speed square and draw lines on your marks from the center of the board to the edge. This will create the area that we will cut out in the next step. Now to get the same marks that you just created on all of the boards, instead of having to redraw and remeasure all of your lines, I find it easier to just line up your 2 boards and then trace your lines over to the next board. You can continue to do this for each board. You're going to do this with 6 of the boards. The 7th will be the bottom, so it does not need these marks. Once you have all of your boards marked and ready to go, clamp them down to your work surface, and with your jigsaw you're going to cut a series of slots in each section. So start with your edges and then cut 4 or 5 relief cuts inside of that. And then you have 2 options as far as cleaning out the extra chips. You can either use your jigsaw or bandsaw, which is what I find is easier, and you just kind of go back and forth and clean up that edge and cut off those small pieces, or you can use a chisel as I showed here and knock out the edge that way and clean it up. But you should end up with 3 clean notches on each board. Next, you want to go ahead and sand down all of your boards on the front and back to get them nice and smooth. After you've sanded all your boards down, now you can go ahead and start to dry fit the assembly. The purpose of this is just to make sure that all of your notches line up and that it looks good. After you've verified that everything fits correctly, you can go ahead and start the gluing up process. I try and put glue on both sides of the joint and fit them in one at a time. Next, you'll want to go ahead and line up your bottom piece, your 7th board, and with your tape measure, again mark at 6, 12, and 18 inches to give you 3 reference marks that you'll use to line up the board with the bottom when we glue and nail it into place. Now go ahead and put down some glue on your ends and tack down your bottom board. I use my brad nail gun. I put 3 nails in each section, but you could also just use a hammer and nails if that's all you have. Next, I go ahead and give it one more sanding just to make sure all the edges are nice and smooth on the front and the back. Now you can go ahead and hang the shelf on your wall and load it up with your favorite knickknacks. In this case, I have an addiction to pop toys, so that's what I chose to hang in mine. Well, I hope you guys enjoyed the video. A few pointers on mine. When you're cutting your slots, make sure that your jigsaw is nice and level, because if you cut those at an angle, it's going to throw the whole thing out of whack and make it not sit straight once you piece it all together. Also, I hung mine using these little hooks. They're called gook hooks, I believe. You can get them at Walmart or Home Depot. And those are really nice for drywall because you can stick them in, flatten out the ends, and it gives you a very nice way of hanging it, and it makes it look as if it's floating. But you could also just use a few nails if you would like, or even put a hanger on the back. It's a really fun little project. It only takes an afternoon to do it. Hopefully you guys can be creative and tweak the design to your liking, but if you have any questions, feel free to leave them in the comments down below, and hope to see you guys soon. Thank you again for watching. I truly do appreciate it.